Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Man at YouTube with another model video. Today, straight from the stash, unboxing, building and reviewing the Airfix 176 Vickers light tank Mark 6 with the A, B and C variants components included. Unboxing the kit, we are greeted with two green plastic injection molded styrene runners. The shape very reminiscent of early 2000s 90s Games Workshop Warhammer products. Large A4 fully comprehensive instructions with black and white color guide, full history, multiple languages and isometric view on how to assemble very clearly, and marking guide with codes for Humbrol paints. Screen printed water slide decals and additional marketing paperwork. Airfix is a very old brand and this seems a little outside of what they usually do. This was originally tooled by JB Models in 1998. The boxing is early 2000s when they acquisitioned it. Different from the other models in the 1980s range. This is a traditional glue together model and requires a whole range of tools, minimally nipper's knife and glue. I'll be using traditional methods to build, including cutting the parts off the runners twice, trimming and sanding the nub, gluing everything together with plastic cement that melts the two surfaces together and adheres. Any gaps showing will be covered in putty, allowed to dry and sanded later. I normally really like the Airfix range of tanks. The original range was mostly from the 70s, 80s. Small challenges but fairly beginner easy. Subject matter accuracy can be questionable. The discontinued Cold War range is most likely Hellier reboxed kits. We reviewed the old M113, which is also a JB Models kit and was amazing. They also did one of the armoured scout cars. I'll be reviewing this model on its own merits. It can be complicated to choose a model if it's new or old. Unlike core Airfix kits, it starts immediately with the hull. A few parts come together. The fit is absolute flush with no warpage or distortion. Instructions are clear in what components cover what variant. What I absolutely love is pre-molded and shaped tank tracks and suspension that you slot straight in. A few extra details added to the sides. The turret easily falls into place. Add the extra accessories, which is very thin and fiddly. Nothing too hard. Interestingly, with a couple of the close-up photos, the tooling or CNC marks are very visible in the plastic, but does not come out in the paint. With the cannon, you can clearly see the tool path markings. For early war tanks, schemes can be fairly boring. I'm going to go for this scale pattern, even though it's the wrong variant. Painting segment will be a tad different as I hit a massive brick wall. The process is regardless the same, using automotive lacquer filler primer and an airbrush thinned to a watery viscosity. I coat the entire kit for adhesion and to check for errors. Then to mask the lines, I use automotive lacquer paint and a 3-tier tone of shading for color gradient that cascades down. I did a test pit by wrapping a part in fruit netting and coating it with a color. It was successful enough. However, repeating the process on the tank itself and putting on the sand colors was a very sad result. Bad color theory, and due to the amount of gaps from all the detail and gun extruding out has made it all bleed and blend together. I promptly stripped the paint and started from scratch. My paint stripping method is putting the part in bleach gel, which is plastic friendly. They're stored in plastic, breaks down and removes the paint, leaving everything else behind. It can also strip out putty, so be very careful. Attempt 2 involves painting straight to the sand colors. I sprayed directly on top of the remnants as I already know there's no imperfections. 3 tones. The first was a base coat, second shading the sides and around. The lightest colour was focusing purely on the top, again to make it look like light is cascading down for maximum definition, all at a very watery viscosity, automotive products and thinner. With a very fine tip brush and heavily thinned down lacquer paint, I painted the camouflage by hand off references. Allowing that to dry, I moved on to the other details such as the tank treads, the gun and stowage. This was far more effective, and even if I got paint streaks, I could spray some lacquer thinner to make it all melt within itself. Moving on for further weathering and definition, after drying and curing, I used Tamiya Accents Color Sludge Wash, which is previously pre-thinned with gum turpentine. This captured all the raised and sunken detail to separate panels and parts and create the illusion of shadows. Due to how busy the camouflage and detail is, I also did further pigment weathering by adding it into little nooks and crannies and extra areas to break up the shape and various levels from just actually being so camouflaged it blended into a weird brick, and I can tell where the detail and form starts and ends. This was all sealed with a homebrew lacquer clear matte to dull down the sheen from mixed paints and the sludge wash. Pretty much concluding and finishing the build and paint. Scheme didn't have any water slide decals, so I did not opt for those, as it's most likely a field application going from the African to European theatre, or even the Balkans or Greece. I recently finished the fantastic and very detailed proportioned S model Vickers, and picking up on this being a couple of decades older. Slightly larger and simpler, but fairly spot on and a very good representation of the subject matter. It was an incredibly fun, simple and easy build, extremely satisfying, and I would say had more fun with it than the S model version. Fairly happy with the build, pleased with the finished, and can definitely very much highly recommend this kit. It is reissued under the red boxing by Hornby and is widely distributed. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, until next time, stay tuned for further content. Please consider having a look at the description section where I have references and links, including portals to my social media where I post finished works and other things that are going on. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, until next time, stay tuned for further content, and we'll keep building and posting on this platform. Catch you guys later.